Shalom everyone, and now we're going to study Parashat Ha'azinu, one of the last parashot of the 5 books of Moses, the book of Deuteronomy chapter 32. And Parashat Haazinu is very, very unique because it's written differently by language, text, the way it appears in the Torah. It is not just text, it is a epic song, shira. Okay, so it's written like a song, and that means it has a very, very special value, and the value is always because of the time of the year. This is a special week. It's always coming already after the New Year. Haazinu is never read before Rosh Hashanah. So there's something really special about the parasha that we need to receive. First of all, the name of the parasha, Haazinu. Haazinu Hashamayim, listen, heavens. Moses is basically, that's his biggest last song before he leaves, because we already read last week Parashat, that was Parashat Vayelech, that Moses says, today I am 120 years old, and today I'm leaving this world. So it is connected to Moses' legacy on one hand. The other hand, it's always connected to the high holidays. And so what's the message for us? The message is, first of all, in Haazinu. Haazinu means listen, heavens. Moses is telling the heavens to listen. There are many, many legends about it. It's like the moment Moses is telling the heavens and also the earth to listen to him, and a voice comes from the heavens saying like, who are you, mortal, that you ask the heaven and the earth to listen to you? And then God and Moses' answer is, Kishem Hashem Eka, because I'm calling the name of God. Well, what does it mean for us? Okay, what does it mean for us? Because there's something very special about this time of the year. This is the time of the year between Rosh Hashanah and Simchat Torah, the first 22 days of the month of Libra, that the destiny of every human being on earth is being decided, like who to die, who to live, who to die, and if you live, what kind of a life you're going to have, and how much money you're going to make, which is very important, of course, and all the other stuff, and especially, even if you live, what kind of a life? Is this life going to be a life with a spiritual focus, with a spiritual awareness, a life that is really connected to the tree of life? Or is it going to be another chapter in hell of fear, anxiety, slavery to emotions that we do not gain from them anything good except from troubles? This is when all of this is being restructured for the coming year. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, listen to the class about the lesson about Rosh Hashanah. So, how is this parasha going to help us to improve our year? So here we go again to the word Haazinu. Haazinu means listen. But, you know, Hebrew and English, it's not the same kind of language at all. The word Haazinu comes from the shoresh. Every Hebrew word is coming from a shoresh. Usually, most of the times, 3 letters that they are the root of all the conjugations of the words that come out of this root. And the Hebrew grammar is very different than the English one. The English one is made mostly of words. Hebrew is made of structures and more like formulas. So the word Haazinu is coming from the shoresh Aleph Zain Nun, Ozen, an ear. Okay? But Kabbalistically, this is a very, very powerful symbol. Why? Because the word Ozen, which means an ear, is also connecting to the framework of the Sephirah of Bina. Eyes, Chokhmah; ears, Bina; nose, Zerapin; mouth, Malchut. This is part of the tree of life. And when we are talking about the month of Tishrei, the month of Tishrei is the month that we are working really hard to connect to the heavenly window that opens up during this time of the year, so we can tap into the source of life, the tree of life, the source of energy, whatever energizes ourselves. So we know very well when we are energized with positive spiritual energy, we have better ability to overcome our limitations, our addictions, our all kinds of logical and emotional limitations that every human being has. When we are energized with spiritual energy, we have better chances to win the daily duel against all of those negative forces that dwell in ourselves, in our body, because that's what life on earth is about. It's all about, can we fight all of the limitations, the challenges, the negativities? Can we ascend above it? Although and in spite of all the limitations, can we acquire godliness, spirituality, positivity, in spite and against all the odds? And that what gives us the ability to gain godliness, because remember, the human soul is godly. However, since we created in the image of God, and there's no physical image, okay, for the endless, since we are created in the image of God, that means that we need to create and independently in order to achieve the great godly fulfillment. And therefore, we need to overcome all kinds of obstacles, and these obstacles are coming with living in a physical body, in a physical world. So all of those tools like Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, the Torah reading, the holidays, Shabbat, all of these are tools to help us to ascend above all of those negativities. That those negativities, we have to remember all the time, they are not eternal. They are not there as part of the creation. They are there for us to overcome, so we can earn our perfection, godliness, enlightenment, whatever you call it. We should earn, we have to earn the life of tree of life. Otherwise, there's no sense of our being on earth. Which means the moment a person, we know scientifically, the moment the person comes to that place mentally, subconsciously, that his or her life are not going to be better, they're just going down the drain, which means the moment we believe there's no hope for better life, there's kind of a death wish that takes over. And when it takes over a mental state, it takes over a physical state, physiological, genetically, whatever, and then the body starts to deteriorate, and it's called aging. And therefore, Rabbi Yashlag said that aging is a criminal offense that is death sentenced, which means aging is coming from hopelessness. And it's not a matter of how old you are, it's a matter of how hopeful you are. People are still hopeful of achieving greatness and bigger greatness and greater spiritual awareness. They're more alive. That's called the tree of life consciousness. Okay? And however, when people are deprived of that connection, which means they really truly believe that, like many people, what you see is what you get. You know, what is a human being? Just the body, nothing else. There's no soul. Are you kidding? There's no soul. There's no God. There's no other dimension. There's no spirituality. It's all fake. It's like, we're just a bunch of chemicals. That's very problematic. Why? Because what can you really dream about? Having bigger meals? The older you get, your body can't stand that stuff. So what about other kind of physical bodily pleasures? What about philosophy and math and stuff like this? That's very limited. So what are you feeding yourself with? Here, during those weeks, from Rosh Hashanah till Simchat Torah, 22 days, the universe is aligned differently. It is aligned for us to ascend, connect, celebrate the dimension of spirituality, and this is all hidden in the word Ha'azinu. Haazinu Hashemayim. Listen, heavens. Okay, so Haazinu, that is from the word ozen, ear, but also it means connecting to the Sephirah of Binah. Binah, we're talking about that dimension that is much beyond spiritual. It's a dimension of basically the source of life, energy, positivity, everything that is good. So during this time of the year, we're here to replenish our connection, to replenish our energies, our sources. The more we connect to spirituality, the more life we experience during the whole year. Now, Parashat Haazinu is always being read in the month of Tishrei, which is the sign of Libra. Now, Libra in Hebrew is Moznaim. Okay, one of the meaning of the word Moznaim is the scales. Okay, however, how do you write Moznaim? It's Mem, Aleph, Zain, Nun, Yud, Mem. So what is the shoresh of the word Moznaim? Again, Aleph, Zain, Nun. Ozen, an ear. Okay? Again, the same three letters, Aleph, Zain, Nun. Aleph, Zain, Nun is also the source in Hebrew for another word, Izun, balance. And we know that the balance organ in our body sits in our ear, and it's made of three arches. Okay? Three. Now, Parashat Haazinu is also built very differently in the Torah. It's a very short parasha, by the way. I think it's 30 verses, if I'm not mistaken. No, sorry, it's 52 verses. Okay, it's still short, not the shortest, but it is short. 52 means ben, a son. Okay, we'll see why it's that connected. It's also the name of God, Youdkevitch, in the permutation of Malchut. What does that mean? We have a special connection over here. The whole parasha is written differently than the rest of the Torah. The way the parasha is written is that in the Torah itself, which is written on a parchment, the way Moses wrote it 33 centuries ago, every Torah that we have right now in a synagogue is made of a parchment, made of animals' skins, like cows or deers, usually cows, okay, and handwritten, copied from another Torah all the way back to Moses 33 centuries ago. Now, the way the Torah is written is columns, long columns, okay, depends on the size of the Torah, but they're written columns, like in old times, the way they were writing on parchment, writing books. Okay, so it's a scroll. However, the most of the Torah, like 99% of it, is written in columns, blocks of written material, except Parashat Haazinu. There are other places, but Parashat Haazinu is very unique. It starts with a complete column, and then on top of it, and then when it comes to Haazinu, then it's written in two columns, and then it ends, in the column ends, you continue another column because it's long enough, and then two columns, and then the bottom is one big column. So you get like one big N, in English N, and one big English U. Okay? So, and the base of like two columns, and above it you have like a lintel, and then you have two columns and you have the bottom. Okay? So it's a doorpost and a lintel. So that's how it looks like. So it's basically made of three parts each column. And what did we say? In the ear, there are three parts, three arcs that really build up the balance organ, which means if that organ is out of balance, that can really get the person into a very hellish kind of a life, whoever, God forbid, experience that stuff. And there's some diseases that hurt that part of the ear. This is horrible, which means the sense of balance is extremely important for a person's functionality. And this is what this parasha is about, is the sense of balance. What will give us the sense of balance? First of all, reading this parasha, although it's written as I said, as a epic song, it is an injection of a force of balance, because balance is what we need. And what is the secret to connect with balance? As I said before, a human being's life, if you really want to decipher the secret of life, is about one thing, and one thing is really the story. Okay? And that thing is about becoming balanced while fighting all of the body's noise. Okay? Which the body noise, we all know what it is made of. It's all those low emotions, reactions. Could be anger, could be excitement because of worldly things, excitement that has the nature of high and by. It does not really makes us better, and it basically drains us. Let's say if somebody is really getting excited from a great meal, after the meal, are you more energetic or more lethargic? Okay, that's very simple. We know that all of these joys that are on the physical layer, they're not evil, but if you build your happiness upon that, you are in trouble. As a human being, you need to be charged from the spiritual upper world so you can elevate above our physical bodily limitations. And the moment we do not accept that, it's not part of our belief system, it's not part of our awareness, we are in a deep, deep trouble, because the moment we do not understand the name of the game, that's what life is about, we are losing daily, because when you're in the arena and you don't understand that you're in the middle of a fight, you have a problem. You're going to get like punched in the face and thrown on the floor, and you have no idea what did it to you, because you don't understand. You are in the middle of a fight, and this fight is 24/7. The moment you're not aware of the fight, you think that the fight is against some other people. The fight is against the climate, global warming. You think that the fight is against... this is not where the fight happens. The fight happens, first of all, within. If you can't win that fight, you're incapable of winning any fight in the outer world because you're drained, you are full of noise, and you're totally uh, senseless about what's going on and why things really happen. There's one point, one direction, and that's all about the fight between the heaven and the earth, which means the body consciousness and the soul consciousness. So, so it's all about the most important arena in our life, and this arena is our soul and body interaction. Now, if the soul can communicate with the upper realms, with the spiritual realms of the tree of life that are being represented by Ozen, Haazinu, Moznaim, so on and so forth, all of those concepts that appear over here, which is the real sense of spirituality. When we are aware of it and we fight for it, at least when we fall, we get up because it's a temporary fall, it's a temporary setback. Because, if you can't lose, it's not a real fight. It's not really a challenge if there's no option to fail and to lose. So this is very crucial for a human being's life, to have that awareness and consciousness. So it starts with האזינו השמיים ואדברה ותשמע הארץ אמרי פי. Again, Moses is talking to the heavens and to the earth, to our soul and to our body. And in order to bring us into that covenant that he is in that business since he got us out of Egypt. Okay, now these are his last words. But there is something very important to help us to understand, because there are layers and layers of understanding. Did he really speak to the heavens? Did he really speak to the earth? So there's another layer. If one of the greatest commentator is the Kli Yakar, and he says like this. Rashi is asking, Rashi is the greatest commentator, and he said, why does Moses have to bring the heaven and the earth as witnesses? And he says something really important. It is said in the prophets, Im lo briti yomam v'layla chukot shamayim v'aretz lo samti. Just forgot where it's written, but thanks to the internet we can look for it. Okay, this is Jeremiah 33, verse 25, which says, and so said God, כה אמר השם, אם לא בריתי יומם ולילה, חוקות שמיים וארץ לא שמתי. Which means, if not my covenant day and night, the rules of heaven and earth I didn't put. Easier language, the whole world functions by one condition, that we humans accept the covenant with God. And if we don't accept the covenant of God, the rules of the universe have no basic purpose and they will not survive. Okay, so the Kli Yakar says, why does Moses have to bring the heaven and the earth as witnesses? Because after we know that verse, and that verse says that all of heavens and earth existence is dependent on humans accepting the covenant. Okay? So, the moment we see there are heavens and there's an earth, we know that humans accepted the covenant. When was it? Mount Sinai revelation. Which means if somebody has a question, How do we know there was a Mount Sinai revelation? The answer is, you see the earth, you see the moon is circling the earth, you see the earth and the moon are circling the sun, you see that all of those laws of physics are working, you see there is an earth, the water boil at 100 degrees Celsius, they freeze at 0 degrees Celsius. You see that there are rules. Those rules are working by one condition, that humanity accepts the covenant. Now, on Mount Sinai, there was a representative of humanity. There were those Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel, the children of Israel, that came out or brought out of Egypt to the mount. They were supposed to be the catalyst for the rest of humanity. And you see, 33 centuries later on, the Bible is spread all over the world. It affects people's lives, basically almost every corner of the planet, because the ideas, the values of the Torah affects today every country around the world, and it affects us beyond what we can ever believe. Okay, just to remind us, when one country invades another country, and most of the world is really upset about it, where is this idea coming from? It's coming from the Torah. Because if we look at the world's values in the time of the Exodus, if you are stronger, of course you're going to take another country. Why not? Just because you can, you're going to take it. Okay, the rest of the world say nothing about it. It's not robbery, it's against it's not the international law, whatever it's, the international law is very simple. You're stronger, you take over everyone who's weaker than you. You take the money, you take their lands, you possess them, you enslave them, you do whatever you want just because you're strong enough so you can. Why the world does not accept it anymore? These are the Bible's values, which means, yes, there were only children of Israel on Mount Sinai accepting the rules. Today, most of the world is accepting it. Basically, although yes, it's not that most of the world lives by that, but as long as we are aware of those laws of what's evil and what's not, that still gives the value of our living as humans on this planet. And what does that mean? Why does it mean that, what is this verse in Jeremiah saying? The verse in Jeremiah is saying that whatever we see around us is conditioned, influenced, affected, controlled by our consciousness. Which means the first thing that a human being must have as his basic foundation is the awareness of total responsibility, because my awareness is the creator, the part that really creates and generates my life and whatever is around me. This is very important. So if you don't like your life, don't try to change the world. First of all, change the way you perceive the world. And that has to start with your awareness. And if our awareness is not tuned into looking for the spirit, looking for the soul, looking for the life, the true life, the tree of life, that is beyond what the five senses can perceive. If you're not focused on that, you will have a problem, because your perception is imbalanced. It's not balanced. And because it is not balanced, you have no energy. You have no spiritual energy. And what happens when you don't have enough spiritual energy? Your body will take over. And that means greed. That means anxieties, fears, hates, all kinds of bodily stuff that you can find those emotions in the animal kingdom. But the moment we are subjected to animalistic rules, we are doomed to fail. We are doomed to suffer forever, and that will bring us down sooner or later. This is what Parashat Haazinu is about. So it's about there are rules to this universe. We have to be aware of these rules, and all our lives is about balancing between the two parts of our reality or our consciousness or existence. There is the soul that without considering the soul, without considering the soul as a entity that lives in both realms, in the spiritual realm, the invisible realm that is not analytical, that um, is not physical. It's not subjugated to the physical world rules and logic, and we have also the body that is subjugated to the rules of the physics. Okay, so if I'm not balancing between the two forces, there will never be a redemption, peace, freedom, real fulfillment, real serenity, or sense of true lasting achievement. This is what it is. So this parasha is basically about giving us kind of a shot of energy, connection, to really elevate us to that place that we are supposed to be at. So it starts with Haazinu Hashemayim V'Adabera. So again, although we cannot see that, we are not physically aware that the soul controls everything. The soul, but today, the more study we have, we understand when the human soul, mind, heart, when all of that is connected to spirituality, to elevation, to ascension, when we can overcome all the limitations of the body, the fears, the pains, the aches, the addictions, all of that stuff. Okay, where we are going to get the power from? Only from the world beyond, represented by the symbol of Ozen. Okay, so that's where it is coming from. Now, how do we do that? That's why you study. That's why all the different forms of Torah study, they are designed for one purpose. And this purpose is, how do we rewire the brain? Because when we come to this world as babies, our brain is kind of empty slate. The soul is full of memories from the past, so that affects the body. So as we grow, all our tikkun from past lives, emotions, reactions, state of mind, opinions, likes and dislikes, phobias and cravings, they're all like coming from the past life, and basically we acquire them as we grow older. But if we are not aware that we are here for one purpose, which is to create a spiritual perception, a dimension of realizing there is a dual between the body and the soul, between the limited and the unlimited, between the heaven and the earth. Again, if I'm not aware of it, I don't know what's the story, and I will never know what hit me when it hits me, and will never know how to deal with it and how to heal that. So I'll go around sour, sore, upset, because I'm not really manifest my calling, which is to soar to the heavenly world while still living in a physical body. That's the message. So here Moses continues after the opening lines of really bringing the heavens and the earth as witnesses, which means there's only one purpose for that show that is called reality. It's a show. This show is limited in time and in space. The show, the real story, is humanity's souls. The souls were created as vessels to receive the light and the pleasure the Creator wants to share with them. Remember, monotheism is about the source of recreation is the endless Creator. His giving is endless, unconditional. His love is endless and unconditional. Our job is to earn that love and that pleasure. How do we do that? Overcoming the enigma that is called the show of physical life in a physical body with physical rules. And that's why Jeremiah says, if we do not accept the covenant, there's no reason, no justification for this world that is full of challenges, misery, pain, confusion, noise, and all kinds of terrible stuff. All of that is there only for one purpose. So we can ascend, overcome, and reach the heavenly connection, but now we have ownership for it. So if this world is still existing, it means there's a justification. Some people, enough people, are doing the job and they overcome the body consciousness, they overcome the illusion, they overcome the negativity, the pain, and the suffering, and they basically have an idea of appreciation that thanks to the limitations of the body and the stupidity of the brain, we're still achieving godliness, and we cannot achieve it unless we live in a world that is so dark and so confusing. Okay? Because fighting on the arena is meaningless if there's no chance to lose and if it's not really challenging. But how would that happen? So that leads us to verse 3. Ki Shem Adonai Ekra Havu Godel Eloheinu. Because I'm calling the name of God and give greatness to our God. So the Zohar says as follows. In Zohar Parashat Haazinu, Perush HaSulam, the Sulam commentary of Rabbi Ashlag, verse 6, Rabbi Chia אמר, אשרי חלקו של משה יותר מכל נביאי העולם. So Rabbi Chia says, Moses is praiseworthy more than all the prophets of the world, because who dared to say, listen heavens and hear me earth, okay? It's like, who are you? To testify the heaven and the earth, okay? And the answer is that Moses was the person that really brought the covenant. Moses was the person that established the kingdom of God in this physical world. And what does it mean, the kingdom of God? The moment a person has the awareness of the kingdom of God, he has the ability to overcome the limitations. Then your body is not your jail anymore, okay? And it's not your dungeon. Your body becomes a tool to serve a better, higher purpose. And when a person is living for a higher purpose, his body is much more alive. We know that. Scientific proofs. When a person is just, what are you here for? I'm here to eat. I'm here to indulge in anything physical. And we know the sign that it is elusive is very simple. What is more is less. The more pleasure you achieve with your body, let's say food, okay, the less pleasure you get. Which means the bigger the plate, doesn't matter how big it is, the more you eat, the less pleasure you experience. Okay? Then everything else that is physical, that is body connected or limited, the more you get, the less you get. To show how limited it is, it's so simple. Okay? While when the source of your pleasure is spiritual, beyond the physical limitation of the body, the more is more. Which means the more you study spiritual awareness, the greater is the capacity to achieve pleasure. Okay? The more you study spiritual wisdom, the more you understand, the more capability of pleasure your brain has. The more spiritual connection through elevation, meditation, prayer, you connect to the heavenly forces, the more you enjoy, and then this joy surpass everything that is of physical base, and it's never limiting. It's always an older side effects are more enhanced spiritual health, mental health, and physical health. It's all about the same thing. So what do you choose? What do you choose? And you have to make the choice. Heavenly Kingdom is about accepting the awareness of the covenant that that's what I'm here for. Realizing that these are the rules of the universe. And I'm not doing that because I'm afraid of God. I'm doing it because I understand that I have a mission. And this is to soar to higher levels daily, and especially from one year to another. And then we go to verse 9. Rabbi Yitzchak patach ketapוח batzayar. Now, Rabbi Yitzchak is bringing the example of the apple. One of the symbols of Rosh Hashanah is the apple. Why the apple? So the Zohar explains, it's not just an apple a day keeps the doctor away. An apple has an energy that is balancing. You look at an apple, a regular, not, once upon a time, the original apples. So you look at the apple, you see on the apple three colors. In the same fruit, you can see red, white, and green, which are the three colors that symbolize the three columns of flow of energy, right, left, and center. In Parasha Haazinu, we had those three twice. It's like one upper triangle, another lower triangle. Then that's what you get when you put two triangles one upon each other. You get the Star of David. What does it mean, a Star of David? It is a symbolic formula of a balanced human consciousness. The upper triangle is that you have a connection, a focusing direction to the heavens, and it's balanced between the right, left, and center, between the giving, the receiving, and the balancing. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we spoke a lot about it when we spoke about Rosh Hashanah. So we have an enhanced system of tune-up towards receiving spiritual energy, being givers of spiritual energy, and balancing between the two. That's the upper triangle. That's in the heavens. But that triangle is imposed on a lower triangle, which is the balance has to be also in the physical world, which means you have a lower triangle in the earth dimension. And that means you have to be honest, you have to be balancing your trade, relationships, and so on, and especially with your physical self. And then if you have those two triangles connected to each other, then you are really not just balanced, you will thrive because you'll basically complete your mission. You'll be, one hand, successful in your physical dimension because you bring in the spiritual energy and the light and awareness from the upper dimension. Okay, and that's the apple is a symbol for that. That's why one of the major symbols of the New Year is the apple. Now we jump in the reading. And we just said, we read in verse 3, Kishem Adonai Ikra, and I'm calling the name of God. Verse 210, Zakah Chulakei Man Dekarei Lemalka. Praiseworthy is the one who's calling the king. What's the king? The king of the heavens, your king, our king, the king of everything, which is the forces that really, of the creator, that are running the show. ויינדע למקרי קטקריות. However, what makes you happy when you know how to call the king properly. ואי הוא קרא ולא ידע למען קרא, יתרחק ותשע בכל מיני. But if you call, but you don't know who you're calling to, which means, why is it, people go to pray in a synagogue or any house of worship, okay? And don't they know who they're calling to? Oh, this is very important. If you don't know who you're calling to, then it says God stays away from you. Can God go away from us? No. But we understand from the spiritual learning of Kabbalah that similarities attract. Not because it's a physical thing, but because it's a frequency issue. Today, thank God for radio waves, electromagnetic waves, all of these kinds. We understand a lot about frequencies. And we understand that two different frequencies, the more differentiation, the farther is the distance between them, which means they cannot communicate. Right now in this space, it could be like thousands of different broadcasting, let's say cell phones, radio stations, TV stations, satellite broadcasting, all kinds of stuff. Just, can you listen to all of them at once? No. Why? Each one of them, although all of them exist right now in this space, each one of them is on a different frequency, which means, do you really want to connect to the frequency of God? You have to find the proper frequency, because otherwise you're going to connect to something else, and that's not God. You have to know how to make that connection. How do you make the connection? First of all, you have to know who you're calling to. Now, if you're calling to a medieval God, that you imagine there's like an old man with a white beard sitting up in heaven, and he's very, very, very punitive, and he watches you every second. If you make a mistake, he will punish you. He will smite you. He will doom you for suffering forever. If this is the God you're talking to, forget it. You are really far away from the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay? So why do we need to study all of that stuff? Because we have to tune our brain, our hearts, our minds, our logic to call the right God. So if you think that by praying, you're praying in order to change God's decision about you, you think that God made a decision that is not right, and it's an argument. Okay? You're praying to the wrong entity. And of course, don't complain when you get the wrong results. Okay, I prayed to God, didn't answer me. Or God said no. That's not God. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Moses. We are talking about, you need to study, especially nowadays, to study Kabbalah in order to tune up your brain. Because if this is monotheism, there's only one God, and this God never changes and is indivisible. What does it mean? If he's never changing, can I change his mind about me? No. Can I change his love towards me? No. Can I go away from him? Yes. Because the moment I start to vibrate on anger, upset, fear, and all of that, noise stuff, of course I can feel God in that frequency. Why? Because that's the frequency that I chose. So when I call, I need to understand the purpose of the prayer is to change me, myself, so I can find the connection to that endless loving God that loves every human being, every creature, everything in this universe, in his creation, the same way, unconditionally, endlessly. And I have to study all my life and pray in order to lift myself to understand, as the sages are saying, more than a calf wants the milk, his mother cow wants to feed him. Can't force him. Have you ever seen a cow running in the pasture after the calf, trying to feed him forcefully? No. God is there. He's present all the time. We just have to know how to call him truthfully. And therefore, if we see in everything in the Torah that the love of God is to his children, to his creation, unconditional. Yes, of course, there's a punitive, it looks punitive if you really believe in an ancient God of punishment, that he changes and he can be angry. Yes, there are punishments. Yeah, when you put your finger in the socket, there's a punishment. The punishment is a reward for your stupidity or being careless. But it's not God's punishment. That's how this world is structured and wired. You have to be aware of the rules so you can get the most out of this creation. So this, what Parashat Haazinu is about, connecting us to that energy, to that power that during these 3 weeks between Rosh Hashanah and Simchat Torah, we are really receiving so much light. We are here to open up to that light, especially between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, especially on Yom Kippur, that basically the Creator is giving all of us a chance for another year. Let that year be full of awareness to the calling of each one of us, awareness to the covenant, awareness that we have so much control over whatever happens to us. And we just have to say, I do, I accept, I'm taking it on myself. I'm taking the responsibility. And that is the basic. If you go like this, there's going to be a beautiful year with more challenges than problems, more victories, more power, more positivity, more fulfillment, and more happiness, the way we were created for. Thank you so much and Happy New Year.